I'm Pat Miller, and on the next episode of the Professional Photographer Podcast, we'll sit down with Dan McClanahan and talk about his transition from a brick and mortar studio to a digital file studio.
I love interacting with humans and seeing them and bestowing dignity upon them with my lens. And I've been a photographer for since 2009. What's that? 16, year 16 right now. That's a lot. I could drive a car. It feels like it's gone a lot quicker than that, but I've kind of done everything in my career. I started with weddings and then got into seniors and then got into families and then got into commercial. And now I kind of do a mix of all of that, whatever I'm feeling the most in any given year. I have some friends that have told me that I could have a way more successful business and make way more money if I just did one thing over and over forever and systematized it, but that would kill me on the inside. So knowing that about myself, I ebb and flow with the way that I am, because I know that my superpower in my work is being a healthy version of myself, so I can overflow that into other people, regardless of what the genre is. I learned quickly early on, the thing that I value most about my work is the quality of that experience, not the check I get at the end of it. But I know those two things have to be in tandem. So that's always in my mind. And some days obviously are better than others in terms of my muchness and juju. But I do find when I'm on set with a person, I'm pretty much always able to transition into that flow state, like take off the Dan hat and put on the seeing the other person hat. And if I'm not in my best space, that will drain me more than normal. And afterwards, I'll have to recharge more. But usually, like this year, I'm jamming. Right now, I'm super pumped. We lived in a crappy rental and didn't have wall space. So that prevented us from going to a studio that required us to purchase wall portraits to get the art, because we didn't have a space for that. So it didn't fit our need. But we did have a need of having great artwork captured before the moment was gone. So we worked with photographers that gave digital files, and then we had those files. And then 5 years later, we finally got our first house, and then we printed that stuff and put it in her room. And it lives now, but it didn't live in the confines of a traditional portrait studio business model. And that, to me, made me question how many other people are out there like me. And it turns out there's a lot. So I took my experience in the commercial world, which is very much you're hired for your time and talent, and you get paid a half-day rate or a day rate. And then when you're done, you cull and export JPEGs and upload to Dropbox and send, and then they mail you a check. And it's just done. And those jobs were always my favorite because they were the least stressful due to the shortened timeline.